My name is Margaret Ann Windsor, and I say that because to give reference that I was kidnapped from Buckingham Palace in 41, brought to Moulton, Alabama, and given the name of a deceased, well, a twin, Peggy Ann Dempsey, and I married a Childers. Peggy and Carl, the twins, were deceased, and they were even born a year and a month different from the date given me, and they even switched the birth certificates or marked through the dates on it, which is illegal, but everything that's been done is illegal. And I can't get an attorney. I can't go home to Buckingham Palace because it's occupied, as you can see. Now, before I lose you, I want to go back. The twins, by the way, I grew up thinking, Lana, or being told, I didn't think that. I think I always, in the back of my mind, knew. I know I did, but I didn't find out for real about it until 83, my kidnapping. But I wrote a book. This is why I'm doing this one. Excuse me. I put this on many tapes and Facebook under Peggy Childers. I wrote about mind control before I ever found out about my kidnapping. I wrote about it in 77, 78. I'd worked for doctors, and some things had been done to me and my children, but I also found out about chips being put in heart bypasses, and that you can control a person's decision making, or you can even program them to go out and kill or fall down a flight of stairs or whatever. And it's mind control. And mind control has not one thing to do with mental illness. And this is what really is exasperating. To treat someone who's a victim of mind control for mental illness is so preposterous and so hellish. I don't even know how to say it. One thing I want to impress here is because today they are going to cover up the mass shootings in Sandy Hook, the kids that were killed and the grown-ups, teachers, etc. They were done in patterns. As the odd thing is that the press themselves have, I don't know that they didn't deliver it at all, but then you should ask yourself what's going on, because they have put these before the public, the ones that were done in patterns. There's a lot of murders that go on every day that aren't done in patterns. I don't know how much of them are done through mind control, because it's gotten to be a weapon that can be used at this date, not just with agencies, government agencies, but detective agencies, corporations, you name it. How do you prove it? It's invisible. It's a new weapon. Well, not new. It's been going on a long, long time. They just don't talk about it. Now then, this is what I wanted to get to today. They say that Adam Lanza, is that the young fellow's name, just had a lot of problems, mental problems. That's what they said today. And that would never know his motive. Well, they know his motive. If they don't, then something's wrong, because I've been telling this since before I did the book in 77. I was flown out to Flint during the campaign to replace Larry McDonald, a congressman whose plane went down in 83. I had written about Larry McDonald in the mind control, in the book, the medical malpractice book, and here his plane goes down. I'm flown out to Flint, and Flint was shot in Lawrenceville, Georgia. While I was doing the book, he was shot in March the 6th of 78, and I was living in Moonraker Apartments doing the book in Marietta. So he even did an editorial, April of 84, saying that I knew who was responsible for his shooting. But the man that shot him was under mind control and killed his attorney in Lawrenceville. Now then, they will not tell you about mind control. They're alluding to, and I can't believe that so many people, law enforcement, you name it, are buying it. They don't want to hear it. But they do know the intent. It wasn't the intent of Lanza or of the gentleman in the Tucson, Arizona shooting, or Wayne Williams, it was not their motive. The motive in the killings belongs to the person giving the commands, the programming and mind control. And that's what has to be stopped. Filling these people up with who are victims themselves is beyond reasoning. You're torturing them. That's the plain fact. Now, I will say this before my tape runs out, and I want to make this short because I know people lose interest in I don't know. It's so very important. Um, well, I'm going to lose where I'm at. Let me just go ahead and say that I came to Roanoke, Virginia in 86, October. I'd had my job shut down. I lived on the Appalachian Trail. I froze. I starved. So, nobody wants to hear all that about my being kidnapped, and my uncle helped take out my dad, King Edward VIII, and kidnapped me. And my dad was married to Claudia Ruth O'Keefe, an American. Never had anything to do with Wallace Simpson that married an imposter, a double. So all this went on, and people, I'll say this, an FBI agent, I had a letter from the FBI, June the 23rd of 79, after doing the book. And one of the agents told me, he faked yawning, he was role-playing. He said, people get bored with what you're telling them. They won't care until they find out how it affects them. Then there was a FBI supposed to be retired, and I thought back, and I actually remember meeting him with my husband at Brown Engineering in about 62. Now, he's in Grottoes, Virginia in 84 and 85, and he comes into the store where I'm pumping gas for a living and cashiering. And by the way, part of that time, I hustled a car that was furnished by Larry Flint, set parked because I didn't have money to drive it, and I was stayed there just to have a place to live in a little camper and work. But this FBI agent, Noe, N-O-E, told me, he came in quite often, and he said, they've made it so ludicrous, and he meant the FBI, have made it so ludicrous that people know you're telling the truth. It gives them a chance to help you or to walk away. And they walked away. Or they hated me. It just, there's no way to get into it. Here's what I wanted to say. And by the way, I didn't find out about being kidnapped and who my father is, King Edward VIII. By the way, you can say, well, you're crazy if you think you're a person of, hey, I really am. Just as Anastasia, who was murdered, Blue Ridge Mental Health killed her. She really was Anastasia. So she was murdered in 84. So I want to show this, though, and I hope I've got it in order. The mind control that I've spoken of have been done in patterns, and they can be proven. I'm going to show the Giffords here of Tucson. Her husband, she was a congresswoman. She didn't just run. She's from Arizona. Her husband was Mark, and his twin. You've got twins in in some of the patterns, a lot. Well, anyway, their name is Mark and Scott, and Mark was her husband, Kelly's. And I wanted to go, Scott and Mark's name, that's my son's names. They were used in the patterns a lot. And I wanted to show you Scott Carpenter. He was an astronaut, and how he died. And you associate Carpenter back years ago with Karen Carpenter, the singer, with her brother who died. And I said back then it was mind control. Now then, I want to skip to Prime Minister Thatcher, and as far as I know, she died of natural causes. I don't know. But I remember her saying years and years ago, they gave us the Marshall Plan. And that would be the Americans that installed Elizabeth's father, George VI, and took out my father. All illegal. I'm the legal monarch, Victoria II.